Hi guys, Eva here, and today I am going through a book haul with you. I have perused through my bookshelves the other day and I decided that there are books that I will never read that maybe just fell flat or I didn't particularly enjoy, or other books that I actually bought many years ago that I'm not interested in reading anymore. There are just a few of those, but I thought that because I hate DNFing things so much, I tend to pick up a book and then force myself through it, and then I end up not enjoying it, and I probably end up giving a rating which I would have not given maybe 5 years ago when I read it, because my age changes, my reading taste changes, and I think I would not be honest with the rating give this book, because when I bought it I might have enjoyed it, but now I kind of grow out of a genre, or for example, out of YA. I'm not interested in reading anymore. Not saying that I don't read YA, I will always read YA, but I'm way more picky of what I read, and I just tend to read more adult things, so I kind of balance things more. While back in the days I would just read YA, nowadays I find way sometimes I kind of just not stomach them anymore, so I'm more choosy and picky of what I read, so I got better chance to actually enjoy it when I do. Not criticizing YA in general, I just, I'm a certain age, I'm not a young adult anymore, and I start feeling that a little bit. Still, I will always read children book, I will always read YA, just not as much as before. So yeah, it's just, I'm gonna show you. So I'm getting rid of all these books. These are books that usually I sell on my Amazon account. So I've noticed that since the quarantine started, I've been selling books like crazy. Like every other day, one of my books is gone, and which is awesome. I love that people are actually buying more books now. It seems like because of quarantine, and that get entertained by reading books. Cool. Without further ado, let's get through this box. Reasons to Stay Alive by Matt Haig. This is a non-fiction book about the author experience of depression, and I enjoyed this. I think I gave it probably 3.5 stars. Again, this is something that really interests me because of my job and my degree. However, for how much I found this really important book, I just don't need to keep it. And for how much I did appreciate this book, and how the author could put on the page such a difficult emotion, such a difficult topic as depression, I think he did a good job. However, I'm not gonna read these. I don't know if it was the writing style that probably I didn't click with. I just found it interesting for where I read it, but I've never read this again, and I didn't particularly love it. There is no really any reasons behind it. I don't have any critique. I think it's just about probably the writing style, and that it's a book that once I've read it, I'm okay with it. Moving on. Then a really controversial one, so don't hate me for it. So I did read this book. I did give this probably 3.5 stars. However, I didn't fall in love with it as many other people did. It felt okay, but I'm not really a fan of magical realism, so I guess that also played a part. The book is The Night Circus by Erin Morgenstern. Yeah. And I love this cover, and I was keeping this book because of the cover, because actually it took me a long time to find a good cover that I loved before purchasing this book. And again, it's a 3.5 stars, but I'm never gonna read this. It didn't hit me in the chest. I just remember that I kind of found it dull, and I think again I'm not a fan of magical realism. I'm more into flashy fantasy and flashy magic systems and so on. I did enjoy the circus environment and all of that. It was a new take, but I'm not gonna read this, I'll be really honest. And the cover is nice, yes, but I just not enough for me to keep this. Now, another book that I decided that I kind of grow out of this kind of YA, and because I already know where the story goes, usually I'm just not interested in reading it anymore. And this is These Broken Stars by Amy Kaufman and Megan Spooner. Now, I do love this cover, and I think this is, I don't know what this is about. I know it's a sci-fi, YA sci-fi, but again, I'm kind of not a fan of love stories these days. I mean, I do enjoy my romance in my books, but I don't tend to go toward books that are mainly around the romance. And for the cover, for the synopsis, and because of this was YA, it was coming out those days where all YAs were coming out, where the romance was prominent. I just don't think I'm gonna enjoy this. I mean, probably it's a 3.5 stars, probably it's even a 4 star, but then I will never continue on the story. I already know what's gonna happen from the first pages, usually in YA. So when you take away the element of surprise, because I'm not a huge fan of sci-fis for now, and because I'm growing up with YA romance, yes, just a tiny bit sometimes, I don't think I'm gonna appreciate this as it should be. This is perfect book in perfect condition. It merits to go in a home where it will be loved and cherished way more than I could ever do. And on the same trend of a perfect book, never read, YA, that I'm just not really interested in, is Walk on Earth a Stranger by Ray Carson. I think I read another trilogy by Ray Carson. I did enjoy writing, but I was not blown up by the story. It was okay, probably 3.5 stars, 4 stars. But I think because of that, and because I think this is a historical fiction, YA, I'm just not interested. I don't have a justification. I just think, you know, this is gonna be a 3 stars books. I might be wrong. I'm not saying I'm right. I got this feeling where I'm not particularly looking forward to this, and because I've got so many books, I just want to keep the books that I'm really eager to read. And that's another thing, that when I went through my bookshelves, I was like, do I really look forward to read this book, yes or not? And if the answer was no, then it came in this box. This is a never read book, so it's in perfect conditions. Again, it merits a house where someone will look at it and say, you know, I cannot wait until I read that book. And that was not for me. When I got a book that actually I did not enjoy, and that was Amy and Roger's Epic Detour by Morgan Matson. This was my first Morgan Matson. I was not impressed. Sorry, fans out there. I might pick up some by her, but because of the writing, because she writes mainly YA love stories, which I've read in the past. I've read a few of them. I've read quite a few of them, but I just never fell in love with the majority of them. I probably can pick 1 or 2 other that I really enjoyed. And then I saw this cover. This was really famous back then. I picked it up because of the cover, and I bought this already used, so it was a library copy. And I read it, and then I was really unimpressed. I was keeping this just for the cover, and then I said, you know what, I'm never gonna read this. The cover is actually well beaten up a little bit, but other people, because it's a collector edition, I think, they might still want it. They might love this book and particularly look forward to get this. And because this is out of print, it's worthless for me. It's just a pity that I keep it. Well, I didn't like this book, not for me. It can move on to a house where, you know, people are really looking forward to this edition. It is beautiful. I am sad that I'm gonna get rid of this. It's a beautiful looking book. I just, you know, I'm just so over this kind of stories. I don't buy them anymore, but back then I did, and I ended up never loving them. So bye bye. These Songs Will Save Your Life by Layla Sales. Now, I did enjoy this book. This was a 4 stars book, and it's about this girl that she's going through a rough patch, and she finds solace in music and becoming a DJ. And I did enjoy this. This came highly praised. However, it was not a 5 stars. I didn't fall in love with it. I just enjoyed it. It was a YA new adult, let's say, so behind says for older readers. So I think it was like for the older young adults. Although I don't remember much flashy scenes or like particularly sexual content. I mean, more swearing than actual sexual content. However, it was okay. I read it, but I just don't need to keep it. I will never read this. It was not a 5 stars. It's not one of my favorite. And kind of, again, moving on from that kind of genre, I'm really picky when it comes down to that genre, because the majority of things I do not enjoy. I don't go for romance anymore. There's no really good point. Although I have to say, this is way more than just romance. It's more about, like, you know, a grown-up story and about finding yourself. So I did appreciate that for this. That's it. I read it. It's okay. Moving on. Then I've got 2 books in the same series. We are different editions, but basically the first book in the series, it's called Beautiful Disaster. I know it's problematic. It's a new adult romance where you got this kind of a douche fell in love with this girl, and I was obsessed with the book. I loved it. I think there's probably something wrong with me because I love fucked up romance. I'm not here to justify myself, but I did love that book. I reread it twice. And then the author, what he did, the main protagonist, he's got like 4 brothers. So the author decided to do a series on the brothers. And then I tried to read a couple. And then one I went all through, which was Beautiful Oblivion by Jamie McGuire. And then the second one I DNF'd, which was Beautiful Redemption. And I noticed another thing, that I might rarely like a romance book, but then it's hard that I like the companions. So I did give this a try because I loved the ones so much. And then I do like her writing. And I think because I already know where these protagonists are going, I know they're gonna end up together, or if there isn't an element of like making me really laugh because of the banter between the 2 characters, or maybe there is this really, I don't know, sometimes this author can make you feel things, you know, that these 2 characters are gonna end up together, but still you wanna see the journey. But the majority of stories, I don't care about the journey. I know where this is going. I'm not interested anymore. I did read this, probably 3.5 stars, something like that. DNFVs. Nothing wrong with those. I'm just, again, not interested. So they are going. I got a book where I read in my 5 stars prediction challenge. I link it up here, and I freaking hate that book. And that was If We Were Villain by ML Rio, and this book has got black pages. It's a beautiful book, but I freaking hated it. And this is about these bunch of actors in a school for actors, and then one of them ends up dead, and one or the other is put in prison accused of murdering this other guy, and then you find out what actually happened. And this is boring. I did enjoy the end, but all the rest, I was so bored during this book that I didn't even care about guessing who the bad guy was. Look, that's how boring it was. Like when you read a crime and you don't even make up, you know, theories in your mind. It's just like you really didn't care. Didn't like the characters. It was a 2.5 stars. I was keeping these for the black pages. I decided that it's not enough justification. I will never ever reread these. So goodbye. And I've got In a Dark Wood by Ruth Ware. This thriller is one that I read a couple of years ago. It was my first Ruth Ware. No, maybe not. I don't remember if it was the second one. It was okay. I gave it 3.5 stars. But again, I thought the justification for what went down was really silly. And I thought also that the scenarios in this really snowy wood in England was kind of absurd. Where did she find snow like that in England? It's impossible. I've been here 7 years. I'm telling you, it doesn't snow like this. So I found like a bit of things that kind of rubbed me the wrong way. I will pick up more by her for sure. I'm not like writing off from my list the author. This was okay. It was really fast paced. I kept reading. But then it was like, that's kind of dumb. But I will never read this, and goodbye. Then I got another couple of books that in the same trend of, you know, I've read the first one, Love Me Never by Sarah Wolf, and then I bought the second, Forget Me Always. This is a contemporary YA. We got enemies to lovers in this one, but then at the end of this there is one of my most hated tropes ever that gives us space to go into this one and start again, and I was like, oh, I will never read this. I don't even know why I bought this. I should have got rid of these. These are books in perfect condition. They are beautiful. I didn't mind the first one. It was probably 3.5 stars. But again, because of what she did at the end, I do love enemies to lovers. I think if I pick up contemporary is probably one of my buzzwords. The rare times I do pick one up is usually an enemy to lover that these days. Either because of the end trope, freaking hated it. So no, these are going. And the last one is another one. These are really controversial. I don't want you to get upset. This was really popular a few months ago. But I think if the premise of this was an adult, I would have kept it. But I'm not interested. And that's The Queen of the Tearling by Erika Johansen. This is a political YA fantasy book where you got our main protagonist that she has to kind of fight for the throne, and it's really political and so on. Now, I do enjoy political fantasy, but usually they have to be high fantasies. I don't care for a YA version of it. And every time they market something like, oh, you know, this is the YA version of Game of Thrones or so on, I'm really hesitant because first of all, I don't like comparing one thing to the other, and I think Game of Thrones is like my baby, so don't touch it. But also I'm just, you know, because I'll be honest, this is because it's YA. I'm not interested in reading like 600 pages or whatever of a YA political intrigue, because it will never ever get where Game of Thrones goes. It will never ever go into the depth and horrible atrocities that adult fantasy would do, which I love, and I need those to enjoy a book. I know there's something wrong with me probably, but I mean, I need an adult fantasy when it comes down to this. I need the gore, I need the blood, I need the high stake that usually a YA will not give me. Again, it's nothing wrong with this book, it's something wrong with me. I'm not saying that it's something wrong with this book, but I'm not gonna enjoy this as much as I could have maybe 5 years ago when I bought this. And it's a pity because it's a brand new book, and it's a pity to keep that in my bookshelf where I'm not looking forward to reading this. And now that I've made a few people mad, my goal for the day is achieved, and I'm gonna say goodbye.